Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, indeed.
The brother DL Hughley. Welcome.
What's up? I like y'all furniture. Tell somebody get it. Oh man, they get ready to company. All the good stuff come out. You know.
We have a throw for you next time.
Are they gone? All right, bring the good shit in.
Bring the good stuff
you
in.
got some good. You got some good stuff down the hall.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. It is.
Well,
y'all late. We gonna have to call y'all the brunch club. Shit.
I was wondering about that. Before you walked in, I said, "Man, I know DL time.
Man,
that Daily Show will take something out of you."
Man. I'm not used to being that disciplined, having to read stuff and practice. I'm like,
Is it
wow.
read and practice?
No, you had to get a South African to do that before. I'm like, oh no.
Are you writing your own stuff, or you got to write
well,
it?
a lot of it. A lot of it. I mean, like the stuff, some of the stuff that because for me, I wanted to do the Daily Show because there was so much happening from a communal standpoint, from a culture standpoint, and I never felt like anybody who had actually seen some of the things that were happening was kind of guiding us through the experience. So it's been, and then of course the minute I do the show, then we have
Tyre Nichols.
Yeah, of course. So
tough week to start with that.
It
one,
was, man. It was, but it's so familiar.
Yeah.
It's so like I'll be 59 next month, and I've been watching black people die since I was 2, in the same way. And so in order for and it's always the craziest thing. And this is the first time I've ever seen somebody from the Oval Office go to the funeral of somebody slain by the police.
I don't respect it. And I'm going to tell you why I don't respect it. There's no way I could be anybody from the White House, whether you're Vice President Kamala Harris or President Biden, and sit up in them people's face and no, I'm not doing everything I can to make things like the George Floyd Policing Act pass. Like, what do you tell the family when the family says, what are y'all going to do? You just said it. They've been killing us forever. Yeah. Like, what do you
Well, that means
that
America, here's the thing. America doesn't think there's anything wrong. They just don't. They don't think there's anything wrong. Every time something happens, the first thing people do is rush to tell me how not all policemen are like that. That's the first thing. Invariably, somebody's going to have that conversation. Oh, not all policemen are like that. We're not even talking about y'all. We're talking about the ones who is like this.
Yeah.
But no one ever says all black men are like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So they have no problem painting us with one broad brush, but they always want, they get to be individuals. We have to be a group.
That's right.
So how do you handle it on the Daily Show, right? You're hosting all week. It's so much to talk about, but do you make it lighthearted a little bit? Do you get serious about like what are you doing?
I think that humor only works when there's stakes to it. Humor only works when there's stakes to it. I don't think that I did find it ironic that they arrested him so fast, and I wonder why that was.
I saw that.
I mean,
and with the white cop, would he have got arrested if people weren't complaining about it?
Well, I probably not.
Stink,
But all of this stuff is just happenstance. Now I don't know. I can't prove a negative. I can't prove that this would have happened opposite. I know that all of them were black. I know that they acted in a way that was not consistent with the way I've seen them act. I know that Kamala Harris is going through the funeral of a black man and black family. So the one thing that's consistent, all of them are black. So absent that, I don't know that this happens. But I can't prove a negative. I'm glad it is happening. I'm glad that they got arrested. But ultimately, it ain't going to matter until these things happen and we see a lot of policemen walking out in handcuffs when they do stuff like this.
But let me ask you a question. We always talk about we want people in the community that look like us, right? We want people on the force that look like us. We want people as lawyers and judges that look like us.
Right.
These brothers look like us, right? They were Omega Psi Phi, right, from the community like us. So,
I'm an Omega, and I'm gonna tell you this: those three men were Omegas, but the man who's trying to get family justice is an Omega too. So it's really reflective. Clarence Thomas looked like us. You know what I'm saying? But I think that the predicate is. We can have disagreements, but one of the things that I take umbrage with is that you can have a political disagreement or philosophical, but on the other side, the predicate is they hate us. They got to say they can't just disagree with you. Got to tell you how you're wrong and how you're bad. Like Jason Whitlock, some of the stuff he says, that's self-hate. You can't. How do you shape your mouth to say something with a black woman? Like they always find a way to make us more insidious, and I think. We can have disagreements, right? But why is the predicate hate? That you got to despise us in order for them to accept you.
That's why people say it's not about race in this situation. It's about the system. No, it's about race.
Yeah.
Because this country does not value black bodies.
Right.
regardless.
At all.
And they've done such a good job of not valuing black bodies that some of us don't value ourselves either.
Of course not.
So that's why those 5 cops can do that to a brother like that. They would not do that to a white man.
Well, until we see it. I've never seen it.
I ain't never seen
I've
it
never
either.
seen it.
Word.
The thing about it, you can. We have so little respect for. I mean, I'm not in that group. I respect black people alive, and I hope that everybody in this room does. But there are people. Those men weren't purple and gold for Omega. They weren't black before they were anything. They were black. They were blue that day, and they did with their cameras on, and they didn't try to get that man aid. Those men were 300 pounds. And if that's elite, who the fuck was not? If that's the elite, and they were young men. How did you get to be on the force that's little time and get that kind of assignment? Unless your assignment is to be brutal to black people.
I almost feel like they did it before because it's
no,
certain
they
things
did
you
it
say,
before.
like, even if I'm gonna beat somebody, I'm gonna leave my camera on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just don't care, or I never got in trouble for it before.
Why would you? This what the Scorpion unit. This is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
We wreck and shop. It isn't about. You can't even blame it, and you're right, Charlamagne. It is about the system that has created this thing. Like, and every time I turn around, somebody's telling us how hard the police got it. Like, Barack Obama went to the funeral of the 5 slain police officers. It is politically dangerous to go to a funeral of a dead black kid. I'm telling you. I watched Kamala Harris. I think it was the George Floyd thing. I watched her go to a gay pride parade and a dick float went by, but she wouldn't go to. Like, I'm serious. like he was a dude with a rainbow thong on a dick float going by, but going to a black funeral was too. Like, that's
right.
So I think that there is a way that we are seeing, even in death, we look politically dangerous to people. Like, how is it dangerous if this is wrong?
And we all say it's wrong,
right? Then we all say, but I'm gonna send you flowers, or I'll put you in the booth when I'm giving a State of the Union address. But I'm not gonna come to the funeral and cry with you. So even though Kamala's gone, which I'm happy she is, but it's happenstance. She happens to be black. Like, all these things is divine. It's divine providence that all these things. So I'm hoping that this is indicative of what is to come. That we can move this swiftly when things like this happen, because they're going to continue to happen.
Yeah, and I'm not happy she's going. I just don't care, because number one, it's a photo op, and number two, all you're gonna do is sit in them people's face and in that family face and tell them a whole bunch of nothing.
But that's how politics done. Like all of these people say, I ain't into politics. Well, that's even when you from a civil rights perspective, you're asking politicians to give you a remedy. Mm-hmm. So photo ops is how things happen. So it's unfortunate, but that is how things happen. Like, this is how insidious this is. You remember it was a documentary called The Black Whale. It was Blackfish. It was about this Tilikum, who was a killer whale who killed 3 people. And then they showed that whale came from these pods, and these pods are individuals. They don't even speak language. Like, they think all like killer whales are the same. Like, they think all niggas are the same. Like, they all think. So they will put them in this pod, and because they're not of the same group, they can't even communicate to each other. They would rake him, and he was just mad, and he killed. It got so bad, and then people in America and around the world saw that. They shut down all the SeaWorlds, all the marine. Like, they had to call themselves research facilities. If you can if an image can inspire you to shut down these gruesome facilities for a black fish, all the images you've had haven't inspired you to do that for a black man or a black woman.
That's right.
So images are very powerful, and the image that they constantly. It is the one thing that hurts my feelings is every time I turn around when a young black man or a young black woman is killed, the mothers and parents and families rush to humanize them. They got to show them skateboarding.
That's right.
They got to, and they always, no, he's not like you think. He's not like the other ones. There's always this.
He don't got no tattoos on his face. He ain't never killed nobody.
They always have to rush to humanize them.
But they have to, because I feel like the police department does it the other way, and the press does it the other way.
Absolutely.
You know, he got arrested when he was 5 for doing this. Like, that's what they do.
Have you ever noticed? No, this is just statistically true. For a profession, police officers have a higher rate of drug abuse, domestic violence, alcohol abuse. But I get tested when I do something wrong at work. The nigga who shot, I know his drug. Like, that's because we don't want to know things. They get there's an instance many times because of they get 30. They get 2 weeks to 3 to 4 weeks off before they have to answer questions. If my wife busted me with another broad and you gave me 4 weeks to come up with something, nigga, I'd be all right. Hold on a minute. So they set it up so that these things can continue to happen. And when I see Tim Scott, when we can't even say that it's wrong to choke a nigga to death, what's the conversation about? Like the chokehold, we can't even ban the chokehold.
Yeah.
Like, it's wrong. I think it's wrong. Of course, if you're fighting for your life, all bets is off. I don't care.
Bite you, I'm choke you,
whatever. But as a matter of policy, we can't say that choking people, that putting your arm and cutting off their air supply is something we shouldn't do.
I agree with you, man. Listen, man, I think one of the most interesting things that has ever happened in this country is the fact that psychologically they have convinced people that black folks are the problem, that black folks are dangerous. Out of all the heinous stuff you done seen white people do throughout the world, historically, they scared of us?
Yeah.
How? And when it comes to the police, y'all got the gun, y'all got the batons, y'all got the pepper spray, y'all got everything. Why are y'all afraid?
But you're supposed to teach my children. I'm supposed to teach my children how to treat you as opposed, and you're the pro. The thing that's like, but we live in a country right now where pretty much unanimously they voted for Juneteenth, but they're against teaching slavery.
Right.
So you want, which is crazy because Juneteenth. I don't want my children learning about slavery in school, which is stupid because school is out the first week of June. Juneteenth is the 19th of June. So if your children learn about slavery, they in summer school and they ain't gonna make it no damn way. Like Juneteenth, if you got to go to school in the summer, you a dumbass dude. So and Juneteenth is a federal holiday. That means more white people off on Juneteenth than us.
Yep.
I think on Juneteenth, white people should have to work that day for free. All day.
All day for free.
Where are my kids? I'm selling them because that's what slavery day. That's what you do.
Now I ran into you at the White House.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Joe Biden and the job he's doing right now?
Listen. I've never seen anybody, and I had this conversation with Charlamagne with a limited number of seats in the House and the Senate at that time pass such legislation. I've never seen it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So and you could talk about whether you like him or don't like him, but Barack Obama had a majority, a super majority, and couldn't get a lot of this stuff done. So I think
he didn't have the political courage to do it, though.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He didn't have. So you could have. I defy you at a time in history, and even people on the right will say this, that somebody took that menial amount of numbers and had such significant legislation. It's never happened. So I think those years and years and years of being a senator taught him that. But I think that the thing that people have to understand is that we're in a fight to convince people that we are human. Human. How is it that you don't want me to learn? Like enslaved people at one point couldn't learn. It was illegal for them to learn. Now, in many places, it's illegal to learn about enslaved people. The only reason you don't want history taught is because you plan on repeating it. This is a fight for us to exist. And I think that people who are in the middle, politics is tools. Your tools, a gun is a tool. It depends on whose hands it in and what they're using it for. And so I just think it's a very serious thing. And I think that for me, comedically, is when white people were mad the Little Mermaid was like black, I'm like, all them slaves you throw overboard, there's got to be somebody black down there.
That's right.
Where you think that crab get his hair braided at? I'm sure it's a Nigerian lady with a booth down there, right? Black castor oil.
I often wonder, when it comes to all of that stuff, do they care about us learning about our history, or do they care more about their kids learning about what their ancestors did?
Yep. Maybe. Yeah. I think I can't tell, but like when I see the things that happen, that's why I'm so glad the Cowboys lost. I am, because when Jerry,
you and me both.
I am not because I always hated them anyway, but I did. But when we are going back in history and men are, Cosby went to jail, and I think he did it. And I'm not going to even equivocate, but we went back 50, 60 years in his history. But Jerry Jones, we can't go back 50, 60 years in his history. He's held liable for the things he did back then. And so we have to have a consistent way of doing things. Ray Rice, he physically assaulted his wife, but Dana White beat his wife, and he get a show called Power Slap. So maybe that wasn't even an ass whooping. Maybe that was just a promo. I don't know. But You can't tell me that we look these things in the face and nobody says anything. And I just wonder why we can see things are obviously different for you depending on where you come from, what your experiences are, and we pretend like we don't know those things exist.
And that's why, for me, I be feeling like it's a slippery slope, right? Because it's like, damn, y'all go back and do that to Jerry Jones. You know who's going to get the brunt of that?
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah.
When they start doing that, they start going all the way back to elementary
But they
school.
already do.
That's what
They already do.
Yeah, you're right.
They already do.
You're right.
When they can't, so when you get killed a couple of times. When a black person gets killed, they kill his memory, they kill everything he did right, they kill his family.
That's right.
They have to kill him.
That's right.
A coward. They say a coward dies 1,000 deaths. A black man dies 2,000, because everything about him that was decent, good, or righteous, they have to destroy, and we're complicit in it. When we say things like black on black crime is about proximity. You're more likely, when something happens to you, it's more likely to be somebody. The dangerous thing is when they don't, when it's a stranger. Mm-hmm. Why is it that we keep the notion alive that it is us that are particularly more insidious than anybody else? When they say, well, you know, we like crabs in the bucket. Crabs don't belong in a bucket. That's the fucking problem. You put them in an environment. Anything would do that. The crime is not about color, or it's about poverty. Mm-hmm. Show me a safe, poor place.
That's right.
But everybody always acts like we're particularly insidious. And I just, and when I hear people say it, it's so galling to me. They just act as if they give credence to these notions. The term black on black crime comes from a Chicago Defender article in 1970, where a black dude was talking about, and they coined it, and then all of a sudden we used it on ourselves.
I hate that one, and I hate we are our own worst enemy. No, we're not. You might be number 2, but white supremacy is number 1.
Absolutely, and everything is a result of that. Yeah. Everything is a result of that. Yeah. It's not even hard for me. So to me, comedically, I'm never going to be anywhere on a stage, and that's what, for me, The Daily Show, I'm gonna talk some shit, and I'm gonna make some people nervous.
Would you want to do that permanently, though?
Only if I could do it my way.
Okay.
What's your way?
Okay.
This way. I want to say what I believe.
You give up the road and everything?
No, I would never give up the road.
Okay.
You know what? Because that's the only place I can't get fired from.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna make it. You ain't gonna have me. And I gotta be home with my family all the time? Oh, no.
Does that make you nervous at all with the road now, with everybody being so sensitive?
Nope.
And with everybody's camera out?
No.
I think it's changing, man. I think it's really going back. I think people are over it. I think people are over that.
I know they're irritated about it.
Yeah, I think it's going back.
They're irritated. Yeah, well, you know, here's the thing. You can't really cancel anybody anyway. Mm-hmm. How many times has Tucker Carlson been canceled? Or Sean Hannity been canceled? Or Kanye been canceled? You can't really cancel nobody. Because the people that fuck with him.
Kanye might have got canceled.
Well, you know what? The people that fuck with him gonna fuck with him. All you gotta do is make a dope shoe.
How though? With what?
I don't know.
Paper mache at the house?
No, to me, I'm not fucking with you no more, ever.
Yeah.
To me, it's a really simple thing. If you say the things that enable them to hurt my people, I will never fuck with you again, ever, on any level.
And y'all never spoke after y'all went back
and
forth?
We did that night.
Oh, you did?
We
Just
talked
that night?
We talked that night. Mm-hmm. The night when all this happened, we didn't talk after that, because it evolved into a shouting match. But it's to me, and I hate when people just don't. Listen, I think much like we're holding the policemen who did these things responsible, even though they were black, we have to hold people that harm us because they're black.
That's right. That's right.
Holding them responsible. Don't tell me it's mental illness, because if it was, Delonte West would be saying the same shit Kanye West do. That's and that nigga live under a bridge. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. When you know how crazy you got to be to make a Kardashian fuck a white dude, you know what that is? He literally fucked up a stereotype. Once you go black, you never go back, unless. I mean,
unless you go west.
You could say the most harmful shit ever. That Hitler, you humanize Hitler, and you forget you had black children, and you're dating a woman from the Caucasus Mountains. You don't get you don't get no more. So I just think that when people, but it isn't what he says, it's he literally emboldens them. Now they're using the words he say to hurt people that look like me or you.
What bothered me the most about that situation, whether regardless how you feel about Jewish people, if you black, man, what about the stuff he said about Rosa Parks? Exactly. What about the stuff he said about Malcolm X? What come on, bro? Like,
what he said about George Floyd?
Like,
and here's the thing that makes me mad when those types say things about George Floyd. If you are in media, your financial outlook went up exponentially because companies that didn't advertise with you. George Floyd was a cash cow to black people in media. It said, look at what people were making in terms of advertisement dollars before George Floyd. Look at it after. You were getting, no matter what platform you're on. I don't care, because even if they were going to make a marketing buy, they dedicated more of it to the African American market.
Yeah.
All because of the whole George Floyd thing. So people that shit all over him and eat off the corpse that they buried are even more insidious, because they know it's no denying that that black body was green. You got rich because of that. You got richer, but if you giving money out to platforms, you got to make sure X amount of it is conservative platforms too, if they black. So stop telling me he made people make way more money than they were making. Didn't you get advertisers you never got before? I know I did.
Oh, not just advertising, businesses.
Exactly.
Like businesses,
Exactly.
Well, they needed black alliances, so they hired more.
So from that black body being slain like that, you had a financial windfall, and you fucking shit all over him. Fuck you forever, forever. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And anybody who fucks with you, fuck you too. It's a real thing for me. People out here dying in all these ways, and every time I turn around, somebody tell me about Chicago. Niggas don't live in Chicago. Every nigga don't live in Chicago. 54% of black people live where in the southern region of the United States of America. Then the Midwest, then the East, and 6 or 7% is in the West. So why do we hear about Chicago? And they always tell me about Chicago. Most of the cities most of the people in the South, which has higher poverty rates, higher illiteracy rates. The only difference between Alabama and Malawi is that Madonna don't adopt their kids. That's it. I'm not even playing. That's it.
Some beautiful black babies in Alabama.
No, I'm talking about.
Too, if you want.
Do you know that the UN considered Alabama a fourth world country?
Yeah.
So it's not me just saying shit just to say it.
Yeah.
But you pointed Chicago.
Yeah. That's their go-to. That's definitely their go-to.
So every time you don't say nothing about you don't say about people that happens every day. And if I knew about it every day, I'd say something about it every day. But I don't. There are things that happen all the time you're just not aware of.
I do wonder what the solution is, because like every time this stuff happens, it feels like all the conversations are redundant. I feel like we done said all of this.
But they
before.
do it on purpose. They make it redundant so you get frustrated and say, like Jim Jordan said, there's nothing we could do. As a congressman, there's nothing we could do that will stop this from happening. How about not hiring people like that? How about not hiring people like that? How about if we know that the FBI said both in 08 and 16 that our police departments across the country are rife with white supremacists and Nazis and racists. Right from the FBI said it. Why isn't the predicate getting rid of people we know hold these views?
Weed them out, yeah.
But that's not a serious conversation to have. I'm not saying racists shouldn't eat. I'm saying they should have a badge or a gavel. I'm not saying you could have. There's a lot of jobs. If you want a uniform, UPS got them too. But the fact that you don't really want to have the conversation and you would rather have it be about us. I've never seen so many men be complicit in their own death after they're gone.
Break it down. Explain that.
You did. Like every time it was him, he moved, he did this. He did. Like Geraldo telling me that when they said Trayvon Martin, he should have wore a hoodie. Now, let me ask you something. So that is indicative. If I see someone's external outerwear, that makes me jealous. So that means that every dude I see in a blue suit and tassel loafers is a racist. You would never make that conclusion. You never leap to that one. That's right. So it's really just about having, because like when people say, well, in the 60s and the 70s, those arguments weren't so nuanced. Can I go here? Can I live here? Can I go to those are black and white areas. But now the arguments are more nuanced than that. I think that everybody should have a decent education. I think that everybody should be able to make sure that why should my woman have a higher potential of death bearing my children than yours?
All right.
Why should my sons and daughters be more in more peril than yours from just a traffic stop? All
of that stuff is byproducts of something that we've never dealt with, which is simply white supremacy.
Of course, and now when you say it, people don't want to hear about it.
That's right.
It's not a man. And I told you this before. The way that we bank, the way that we're hospitalized, the way even our environments. You know, everybody. How many kids you know with asthma? Childhood asthma, a juvenile diabetes. How is that? That's not an accident. It's environmental. So when people are talking about global warming and environmental aspects and stuff, it affects us the worst. In my old neighborhood that I live, that my mother still lives in, there were 7 people within 3 block radius that had cancer. That's called a cluster. Nobody ever said anything about it. Nobody cares about that. My sister's had 3. My older sister has had breast, cervical, and colon. That's a fucking you would write text, and then when I hear people, we were talking about this on the show, and Tucker Carlson was saying, well, George Floyd didn't get a statue. Well, to get a statue in America, you got to kill a lot of black people.
Facts. That's what you get honored for. No, for
there's
real.
way more statues for killing niggas than saving lives. The only white dude got a statue that didn't kill a lot of black people was Rocky, and he beat up Apollo Creed. So I
one more.
Oh, Forrest Gump.
Larry Bird.
Too.
He was killing a lot of black men on the court.
Yeah, he was.
He was.
But Forrest Gump saved Bubba. So
what's harder, doing the Daily Show or that? Remember the CNN show? People forget that you had a CNN show back in the day. I don't.
Nothing is hard for me if you don't fuck with me. And they have a great. Here's the thing about the staff over there. They're a machine. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, you just inserting yourself into something that's already moving.
They could do that for anybody. They're a machine. To me, it only matters to me. The only thing that matters to me is when events like this. Like, I want to have fun. I want to do dick jokes. I do. But when events like this happen, I want.
You said you want to do dick jokes?
Yeah, I do. I want to have fun and hang out. I do. But when things like this happen, the one thing I've always resented that it was always narrated by somebody who didn't have any skin in the game. And I like Trevor, but he's not really from it. He did a great job. But there needs to be somebody. His experience aren't necessarily. And I feel entitled to speak about these because I've seen it. I've been through it. And I just want whoever they get to have. You got to be able to be ambidextrous. I can bat right or left. We can be light or we be heavy. But when things like this happen, do you know that 68% of Americans have their political views shaped by satire, which is comedy?
Absolutely.
So why would I? Yeah, why would I not? When a moments like this, these moments aren't just vainglorious. They're a moment to say that comedy is a reflection. We're showing people things when it's done right and when it's done. And I just want whoever does it. And all these guys are very talented, but they speak about things from 20,000 feet up. I want somebody who's been in the trenches and seen what happened.
Do you ever get tired? Because, if you follow DL, you post everything that's going on in the community. And a lot of it sometimes is depressing. And I'm like, damn, do you ever get tired? Do you have to take a mental break sometimes?
No, because you know what's funny? My wife don't like to talk to me. My kids be like, I'll call people 5 o'clock in the morning. Hey, guess what, nigga? Guess what happened? They know everybody. I just think that when you and I commend you for even talking about having to take a mental break because but for me it is irresponsible to know a thing, to believe a thing, and to not say a thing. It's irresponsible to do that.
I don't think I could stop myself if I tried.
That's what I'm saying. So to me, it's irresponsible. But I do feel like all the DMs you get, did you know the story? It's like I was telling Ben Crump, I was like, this is like that kid on Sixth Sense. I see dead people all the time. Like nobody ever tells me good shit. Like I never, they never send me nothing. Here's a little something to brighten your day. Nothing like that. But I think that it's the gig.
And you feel like you got to speak for people, right? Like even somebody like Ben Crump. Like Ben Crump gets a lot of flack. But I'm like, well, who else is doing the work?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't Ben's fault.
No.
It ain't Ben's fault that he's the black lawyer to go to for everybody.
Why don't people stop? You know, it's funny.
Bakari Sellers has stepped up a lot too. Though.
Yeah. And I think what's funny to me is like, I should be proud in theory that 2 black men were running for the Senate in Georgia. Regardless of the ideology, I should be proud. But when it's such a disparity, like if I have a simple rule. If I can beat you in the spelling bee, you can't have my vote. Like, to be a spokesperson, you got to know how to spoke. Like, every time this dude say anything, I thought I was watching Fat Albert. Did this nigga just say, hey, for you, MacGyver? Not only do I think Herschel Walker should never have been even close to being a senator, I don't think they should leave that nigga at home with the pilot light on.
I ain't gonna lie, somebody dropping the ball though. Herschel need to be somebody political pundit.
Yeah.
I need to see Herschel on TV.
Right.
Talking during the week. I'm not even joking. Like, why has Fox not put him on yet?
Because here's the thing. They would never hire him for their company or let him date their daughter. But he was okay. Never. He would never be the spokesperson for their company or a member of their family. But I don't even blame Herschel because from the moment he showed any level of aptitude, he was taken away from black people. He was given deferential treatment. This dude could beat up white women. You see that? He could actually beat white women. And he ain't even dating a white. This dude could beat white women and nobody and everybody know it and still vote for him. So he whatever he did transcended race. So if I had that experience, of course I would think that it didn't exist.
Well, I would say it transcends race until it doesn't. Ask OJ. You know what I'm saying?
But Herschel, OJ was born in an old urban environment, lived in Trail Hills. Herschel went from the sticks to white women. I'm telling you, this dude ain't never
Never.
He ain't going back ever, and he doesn't feel like they didn't even get mad at everything you said about it. This is the thing I don't get. Literally, if we're talking, Donald Trump is everything they hate about black people. They love him. Mm-hmm. Everything. Like he lies, he don't pay his bills, he got kicked out of public housing, got evicted and wouldn't leave, and stole shit from work his last day. But they love him.
You know what, though? I do say that's one thing I feel like we should learn from Republicans is like they don't focus on individualism.
No.
Because they know that collectively, if Trump president, he going to do their bidding. If Herschel is in the Senate seat, he going to do their bidding. Yeah. We focus too much on individualism. I think we should start focusing on the collective.
Or make the country see the world the way we do.
How?
Because I don't think it's right. Like when people go, oh, well, they would never do this to a black man, or if that was a black man. I don't want a black man to be treated any worse or better than anybody else.
Right.
I just want a consistent standard.
That's right.
I don't think that I think that when I see something's wrong in my estimation, I say it's wrong, regardless of who does it. I think that if they want to lower themselves to be less than human, that's on them. Mm-hmm. But to hold my head high, I know who I am. I know what I believe. And I said this yesterday. The one thing you can't have is the space between my ears. That's the most expensive real estate in the world. I don't see that to anybody. Not my heart, not my and plus I'm older now. I read this article and it talked about how men, when they get older, and I see it in you too, which is hilarious. And you probably would you associated with therapy, but when men get older, they produce more estrogen. The parts of their brain open up to empathic thought. Mm-hmm. You know, like now things that never would. I hate the dude I was at 35 years old.
I don't hate him because my therapist and like my good sister Debbie Brown said that you have to love every version of yourself.
Sure, okay, but that's a fair thing.
You know what I mean? So even though I'm looking at like,
oh man, and not
because that person needed love too. That version of us needed love too.
You know what? Not comedically, because I never apologize for a joke. But and I don't like that. Some people are cactuses, some people are roses. Roses need pruning and light. Some niggas you throw them. And so I think emotionally I've kind of functioned that way. But I cannot stand that I'm living in a world where I have a granddaughter and children and watching, and I can't stand that I can't seem to make the world better for the people I love.
That's right.
That's what's frustrating to me.
That's right.
And that
but you are though by evolving, by being who you are now.
But a part that I played in it, like when I saw what they did to Megan the Stallion, like there are three things black people should just accept. OJ did it. Kanye hates niggas. And Tory shot Megan.
Yeah.
Those shouldn't be controversial at all.
Yeah.
But the fact that rather than, because it's not, here's the thing, it's not even that hard. Most women who are shot in America are shot by who? Somebody that loves them. Or said they did. Or knocked them off or did whatever. So, and most men who've been violent will be violent again. Right? Those are pretty consistent things. But people contorted themselves to make some kind of conspiratorial thing when sometimes the most obvious thing is the truest.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and me and Envy had this conversation because I saw we had the police documents up here way before they were public, and I'm like, oh, he did this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I think the problem is the internet. I really do. I think the internet, like when Malcolm X said, the media is the most powerful tool in the world because it can make the innocent guilty and the guilty innocent. There is nothing doing that better than the internet right now.
The only thing that bothers me about when anybody says that anything happened, there's always three sides to the story, right? It's the right person on the right side, the person on the left side, and then there's the truth, right?
And then there's the evidence, but niggas don't read. They get all the information from the internet.
But the internet is difficult sometimes because they put out so much shit that ain't true.
That's my point.
On purpose.
That's my point.
You know what I mean?
It's three things that MAGA people and Hotep niggas got in common. They hate evidence.
Yeah.
Fucking proof.
Yes.
Proof. the fact that you have, well, you don't know. Okay, well, see, and that's at one point I can't even have a conversation with you.
Right.
Like, it was motherfuckers, what if this vaccine changed my DNA? Well, then you won't owe child support. How about that? Like, at a certain point, there are things we have to believe. But in all fairness, we've contorted truth to our liking.
That's right.
So no matter what.
That's right.
That's true.
We've smuggled, we've smothered truth in his crib, and now that we need it in the light of day, we don't have it.
And something else that you said, we talk about, the Republican Party, right, and how they ride for each other. And we talk about, Democrats don't do that. We don't do that. Like, you look at Kamala Harris, right? When she first came out, instead of saying, we're going to support this sister, it was so much that came out. But she locked up this person. Yeah. And she did that.
I'm from California, so obviously, I can say this. When people make sweeping statements like that, that couldn't have, then that, there are, 30-some thousand deaths in this country, murders in this country.
Yeah.
A couple thousand more black people, and there are 40-some million black people. So it's a very, 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 very small minority of people doing these things, but they're the ones who get all the judgment.
Correct.
Though that could not be true if they won, and they won in Georgia, and they won in Alabama. So all those things, those people who were the loudest, couldn't be true because the facts don't bear that out. They just don't bear it out. Georgia has lost 3-4 election cycles. There are people who say, and what I can't stand is somebody that just won't take a side. So nothing is your answer. I don't believe. I don't fuck with. Okay, yeah. What the fuck are you? If you ain't living on the edge, you taking up too much space. What the fuck am I talking to you for?
Yeah, I don't want to talk to nobody who just wants to discuss problems. What's the solutions, bro?
Right.
Even if the solution don't work,
right?
Do you have a solution?
Right. Or do you want to? Do you want to?
Yeah.
There are people that just peddle misery.
Yeah. And that's and to his point about somebody like the VP, that's how I felt. You know what I mean? At the time, I'm like, well, damn, there's no other solution, bro.
Right.
Like, it's either her or we gonna vote the fascist.
But we do it with Biden too, though. We whatever Biden does, we're very, very critical and discuss what he talks about all the time. And I will continue to be. My only problem with Biden is I just wanted to, and this is where Charlamagne and I got in trouble. I just wanted to have a dementia test, right? And the only reason I say that is I had my mother-in-law passed away last year from dementia, and I see early signs. And I just want to make sure the person that's the face of this country.
When you almost 80, it ain't early, baby. Ain't no early sign. Let me just tell you, early is 60.
Early 60.
80. But here's the thing that I find hilarious about that. You don't want to give the Supreme Court dementia test. And they're the ones that make the decisions.
They definitely
so you didn't want to give Donald Trump dementia tests. So
I want to give them all dementia tests.
I think that you can't have a world run by old white people and expect things to get different. Who runs the courts? Who runs the corporations? Who runs the networks? They have and who lets them do it?
Yeah. And by the way, my issue with Biden ain't just dementia. It's the Anti-Drug Abuse Act of 86, the Anti-Drug Abuse Act of 88, the 94 crime bill. And I haven't seen enough atonement for any of that.
Here's the problem with that argument. He was a senator. He wasn't.
He was writing the legislation.
When you say, how many names were on that legislation?
Oh, a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
But he was the one front and center. He literally called it the Biden crime bill.
I am not going to sit up and argue for something that hurt so many people. But I will say this. That without a death, there can't be a resurrection.
That's true.
That very man who put all them black people in jail needs them to survive now.
Well, to that, right?
Survive.
And now we're doing exactly what we just said.
Now
that Republicans don't do.
But now he's the president, right? We got these situations like Tyre Nichols.
Sure.
Your solution is we got to put more police in the street.
Okay, but let me.
You're absolutely more funding, more training.
We were just talking about solutions. What is the solution? Because he can't govern by fiat. He can't just say this is that. Yeah. So what is the solution? The
solution is sit down with people like Erica Ford, who've been out here doing this work for so long, who got statistics that show you more policing in the street don't work.
Well, the federal level is something I think that is difficult to attain. Local levels is not.
Oh,
local municipalities, people. So there needs to be.
You can learn from the local level, though.
You absolutely can. Yeah. So to me, this is we're more violent than we were certainly 3-4 years ago. The answer is that now gun legislation is easier. Now you can just grab a gun and walk around, right? We know a couple of things going to happen when there's a proliferation of guns. A lot of black people going to die and a lot of women going to die. A lot of kids too.
Mm-hmm.
But that's acceptable. That's acceptable. So there needs to be proactive conversation that leads to legislation that then you can say this has worked here. Like the first thing, I live in California, all I heard was, look at all those mass shootings in California. Nothing stops everything. Even a condom don't work. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but they use so you're absolutely right. Accountability looks like solutions, and that starts at a rudimentary level, because these people who take all this, like in America, it's easier to get guns than Sudafed. You buy all the guns you want. What was that? Buy 2 packs of Sudafed. Come here, Breaking Bad. What the fuck you doing?
Right.
So that is our. When I saw them passing that gun legislation, I knew a lot of women were gonna die, and they are. A lot. You know, in Canada, to get a gun, the people you used to fuck with romantically got to say you can have one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
But I think those are some of the tests that people need. I think that, same thing with when you purchase a gun. I think you need some type of test to make sure that you're mentally okay.
Okay, but we don't have it. Now you don't have to have, now in at least almost half the states in the country, you can just go grab one and walk around with it.
Scary.
Yeah.
It is. It's untenable.
That makes me want one to protect myself.
See,
it's the truth. No.
I have a lot of guns.
I know you do.
I have a lot of guns. So I'm sitting. I feel weird, but what I'm not doing. I do. I have a lot of guns.
No, we do as well. But they just passed the law in New Jersey where you can walk around with a carry permit.
Okay.
But you can't carry in New York.
Okay. I got arrested with a gun in New York, so I don't. So, but
why are we waiting on these solutions? We got to protect ourselves.
Yeah, we got to protect ourselves.
I'm telling you, I am not for people not having guns. I am for the power, the destructive capacity of some of those weapons. Like, what I find obscene is if I want to buy cold medicine with codeine, somebody got to come behind the desk and talk to me about, but I don't have to do that for a gun?
Yeah.
It's insane because the predicate is, if you're buying this, then I believe that you're using it for nefarious purposes, and I'm going to know who you are and tell you what you can do and how much you can have. Weapons aren't the same way. That's foolish.
No, I agree.
And yeah, nigga, I'm gonna have guns.
I'm definitely gonna have me some.
Absolutely.
America's just not good at solving problems.
We're not at all. We are
to.
good at solving some problems. Like, we're great at creating problems to pretend to solve.
Yeah.
Republicans are great at fixing problems that never existed.
Yeah.
Great at making a boogeyman.
Yeah.
When you ban more books than you do guns.
Those are all smoke screens, though.
That's what I'm saying, but they're great at creating a book. Man.
I saw William Barr on Bill Maher the other night, and William Barr said something, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to the effect of, free speech is more important than legislation, basically. He was like,
Who said something ignorant?
William Barr, because he was basically saying, like, we should be able to have these conversations about what we're discussing now. But I'm like, but the legislation, I forgot how you worded it, but in my mind, I was thinking, no, legislation is more important.
Right.
I don't care about sitting around being able to discuss it. I want something to be done.
That's what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Hang on. You know what it is? When white people say free speech, they only want the right to say nigga.
Mm-hmm.
Like all these media companies, people buy media companies. But like Elon Musk buying Twitter, it was only to do one thing. They only want to control what is said in the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who owns a media company when an old man gets beat up in San Francisco? He's the one starts spreading rumors about how it's a gay tryst. That's what I'm saying.
Though. I'm not gonna lie. The rumor was funny. A lot of comedy there, D.
Like, it was, but I'm not. Listen, when they say shit like, "What is he doing in his underwear?" Nigga, I sleep in my underwear. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Is that controversial?
I'm at home.
Right? I just expect no.
How about what are you doing in my house?
Right. With a hammer. This ain't Lowe's. This is not Lowe's.
Word.
It's so we are the funny, like the shit that even when shit get bad in America, like when during the quarantine, churches was closed, but liquor stores was open.
That's right.
You could Zoom Jesus, but not Jack Daniels.
That's right.
The Lord is a shepherd, but he wasn't a bartender. We pretend. That's the one thing I reject out of hand by some of these conversations we're having, because you don't mean it. Like, we were gonna do some jokes on the show, and they're like, "Oh, this is about school shootings." I said they could be offended about it, but they don't. They're not. They just don't want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't want to do anything about it either.
Yeah, and they don't want to take the heat for it. That's really what it is.
But heat from who? Because
Just that Twitter backlash.
We're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit how many kids get murdered in this country. Nobody cares about these kids like that. If they did, you'd be appalled that it happened.
Yeah, you'd be doing something.
More children in America between 1 and 19 die from firearms. That's the number one cause of death in this country. And what do? You give them more firearms.
Yeah.
So you can't believe these things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, so that's to me, comedically, that vantage point to me is unassailable. It's what I believe. And it may make you uncomfortable, but it's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Give a fuck about, they don't give a fuck about these kids.
Mm-hmm.
All these good men with guns. In Uvalde, Texas, 400 good men cowered while children were being slaughtered.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Right.
In Texas.
That's
we
right.
ain't talking about some, liberals. We're talking about Texas.
Because you know why? Because that person had a bigger gun. The person who was doing it had a bigger gun.
And let me tell you something, man. Not one thing changed.
Yeah.
Not one thing.
Right.
Not one. Children get slaughtered in elementary schools. Old people get shot in grocery stores. We don't give a fuck.
That's right.
And I don't know, well, we should pray. Well, God can't hear you over this gunfire.
You right? That's why I go back to something I said earlier, man. I don't know what to do. Everything we're saying just feels redundant. We're going to have this conversation again. Mm-hmm. At some point this year, we're going to have this conversation again.
I think that the people that we entrust, the one thing I can learn is the game of courts. Because Republicans didn't need majorities or even approval to change the abortion laws. They did it because they wanted to. They played the long game and won. Like America, abortion is like now they want to go up to gay marriage, contraception, and sodomy. What the fuck is the way I celebrate my anniversary? Got to do it in this bullshit.
Why Clarence, you too old for that anyway.
Right. All right. Have you seen that burly ass broad? Shit. That's a burly broad right there. If you live in we are comfortable with the Supreme Court. It being if you live in a red state and you ask a woman whose ass is this, she gonna say it's the state legislators right now. You better get it for the governor to get back. So they played a game. They didn't abortion. 70% of people believe that a woman has the right to just have autonomy over her body. They didn't care. They did what they wanted. You could do that with guns. Mm-hmm. They won in the court.
If you wanted to.
Yep. They won in the court. Yeah. If we didn't think they won, even voting. Fuck, we shouldn't even have electoral. How can we have electoral college when most of America went to trade school?
Man,
fuck that.
Man.
Why am I letting people, why are states, like America's two things? It is the Flintstones and it's the Jetsons, and the fucking Flintstones are running the country.
You're right.
What the fuck do I care? What do I care what you think? If you took California and New York out of America, this shit would be Guatemala.
That's why I don't like when people. That's why I don't like when people use New York and California. That's not the world.
Right.
I'm from South Carolina.
Right.
That's the world.
Right. Let me tell you something. It's the fourth largest economy in the world. New York is the largest economy too. We're Dallas, Texas, and Florida. But without them, we're Oprah. People don't like this. We're Oprah. Everybody else is Stedman. We are.
Now, Stedman doing good.
We pay the fucking bills.
You sure we Stedman? Stedman at 1%. You sure? Stedman doing good, man.
Nah, yeah. I get it. But it's just, and all these arguments people have, I'm like, man, come on. You like in Alabama, they have the largest state constitution of any other document like that in the world. It's almost 311,000 words. And all of them mean no, nigga. All of them.
All of them. You're right.
All of them are to tell you what you can't do.
Yeah.
Freedom don't take that many words. Yes.
Yeah. You're right.
The Constitution with all its amendments is like almost less than 8,000. Mm-hmm. All in words, and you can't read none of them. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But that's the situation we find ourselves in, and it's because they understand how to play a game that we're just starting to break the surface of. It's about putting people in courts matter.
No, I agree, and that's why even with like stuff like the Senate, when they tell us, oh, we just don't have the votes, Well, how about y'all tell us who to vote for when those elections are happening?
Right.
Like, why weren't you down there in Louisiana with Gary Chambers? Why weren't you in Ohio with somebody like Tim Ryan? People we know that are on the right side of history. How come the DNC wasn't putting that energy behind those type of people?
Well, I tell you what they did do. What Biden has done, put more black women in the course at any time cumulatively in history. Mm-hmm. And they were excellent. They're bright people and great jurists. And so I think that there are things that you can do, but I'm not going to ever feel like that something can't be done about something I know is as simple as people your right to have these unfettered access to weapons. Because when people yell freedom in America, it's only the freedom to have a gun and tell a bride what she can do with her body. That's the only freedom that matters. Don't you think if I could take somebody freedom, like I would do it. If I could tell somebody what to do, I would.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point I would have. Now I see that it's futile. If a woman doesn't have autonomy of her own body, there's no way you can label that freedom to me.
That's right.
If you can't learn about where you came from, there's no way that's freedom to me.
That's right.
If you can't have a conversation about how you feel, there's no way that's freedom to me.
That's right. My last thing.
Before you get to your last thing, I just got a question. I see you in shape.
Trying, baby.
He ain't put that bourbon down.
He ain't put the bourbon down.
Talk about that bourbon down.
No, I'm not. It's not. I did put bourbon down.
Why?
I picked up tequila, baby. Come on now. Charlamagne, don't give up on me, baby. Don't give up on me.
So, Pastor Whitehead challenged you to a fight. Is that why you in shape?
No. That nigga going to jail, ain't he? He been in jail by the time
That's so great.
That nigga going to jail, ain't he? You need to be warming up for some other fights you got to have. That's so funny to me.
Did he sue you? Did he sue
How
somebody?
can he sue me? Come on.
Yeah. You threatened to sue you or something?
He challenged him to a fight after
This is what happened. He called my Skip Cheatham, my executive producer. They wanted to be on the show. I said that's not a good idea because I think you are a charlatan. Or told his people, no, it's going to be cool. And sure enough, what happened? We had this argument, and he got mad. I want to fight you. All right, well, he said we're going to have a celebrity boxing match. I'm like, nigga, who's the other celebrity? Like, what? Like, who are you? You famous for getting robbed on TV, nigga. That's not a TV show. That's not a TV show. And now what, is he indicted for something, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I will say this, y'all. Like all these people, like all these, like, I will say it's interesting to how black women are really, in terms of on the legal front, they, like in Atlanta, in Michigan, and with some black women putting niggas in jail.
Yeah, they not playing. The DA in Atlanta not playing.
Man, Young Thug and Gunner. If your name is Young Thug and Gunner, you gonna go to jail. I know that.
Lord have mercy.
See, this is what people don't get. If you rap about something that didn't happen, that's artistic expression. If you rap about something that did, that's a confession.
That's a confession. Word up.
Snitches don't get stitches, they get immunity from prosecution. Snitches are home by Christmas.
That's right.
Yeah.
They are, like, and that's not even, that's.
But I think this community made it cool.
I think they always talked about making it cool. I'm telling you, what I've never seen is so many people get a deal. Like, usually one person, the first nigga to the DA office is the one with the deal.
Yeah.
Like, you be saying, I'm leaving the party, I got to save my voice.
Yeah.
Now everybody got a deal except one dude.
Yeah, it's interesting because now you hear all these people talk about overcrowding in the jails. That's why it's like, damn, we done locked too many of them up. Think about that.
Well, in California, they had to.
Yeah.
They had to, California let about 7, I'm not sure about they let 19,000 people go. There were more prisoners. There were more juveniles in prison between the ages of 12 and 17 in California than any other country in the world.
Wow. So
it's unsustainable. And plus, when they told them that they had to get a certain amount of money for health care, and they let them go.
Damn.
And it's just it's untenable. It's untenable. We have whole neighborhoods, and even that, when you look at our plight, it is so connected to our environment. Like, most people in prison have some level of lead in their blood. Most black, because where do we live? In these urban environments with these shitty pipes. And what does lead do? Mentally, that's what it does. You watch what happens to those kids from Flint, and watch what happens to them
in the future.
It'll be a fucking case study.
If they make it to the future, if they even grow older.
It does it. What it does to you in terms of your judgment, cognitive ability. And that happens all over the country. In rural environments, it retards growth. It blunts your ability to understand, and all of a sudden you're in prison. But even if we clear, and when they had this huge drop, I think it was 30 years ago, we had this huge drop in crime, and it was because it wasn't harder law. It was they took lead out of our schools, out of our paint, out of our gas, out of our environment. And
That's right.
Lower the lead, lower the crime.
I did want to say this is the final thing. When it comes to what they're doing with education, right?
Yeah.
Burning our books, banning books. I kind of look at that as a good thing, and I'll tell you why. Look how educated you are, you know, how well-read you are. We can't rely on them to teach our kids no way. Now is a chance for us to be like, we should be teaching our own kids anyway.
You know what I dropped out of school dropped is a relative word, but I was ashamed to not know anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I see what they do to people. Like Floyd Mayweather, a guy like that who didn't really read that well, either he acts out or he learns another thing. And it's very fortunate that happened. I learned another thing. But we have made it so dangerous to not know anything that I'm ashamed. Now the things like I have to pay people. You know, I've never done a math problem, an algebra problem. One in my life.
Wow.
I don't know.
Shit, me neither. Now that I think about it.
Even the kids, though? Even helping the kids with the homework and all that?
Man, yeah, I helped them. I got them tutors. Yeah,
that's what I do. Talk to your mama. She got the
talk to your mama.
I've never done one algebra problem. I learned to read. I learned to read when I would go on the road and I would take a magazine because we didn't have planes and and I would read until I understood what the word meant. And then I'd use it before the week is up. Like I heard this dude say, I said this word. I heard somebody saying, "Then I'm moving with alacrity." I couldn't wait to use that word. Like that happened about a month or two ago. I heard somebody use it, but I would, because the words would crumble up and fall off the page. And later on, I found that was something the way I learned.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just scared. So now I speak so fast on stage because I'm trying to remember what I wrote as opposed to having to look at it on the teleprompter. I have to try to look at it and remember it so that I don't have to. And those are all things that could have been sussed out if we had people that didn't make you ashamed to not know things.
That's right.
But 70% of our teachers, 77% of our teachers are white women. And me not knowing something was a disciplinary problem instead of not a learning disability. And I think the one thing I would like for us to have is grace and compassion. Because we are so determined to make us animals and we're not. Mm-hmm. When people tell me, you know, the best way for a young black child to go to secondary education, higher education, to have black teachers. The best way for a woman to have a successful outcome when she's having childbirth is to have black health care. So if we can teach us how to learn and we can help us live longer, how can we be bad for each other?
Right. So I'm saying they made the world scared of us and they made us scared of us.
Exactly.
It's unreal.
But you just said you had a lot of guns. Who they for, though?
Everybody at this point. That little 6-year-olds running up on you. Everybody at this point.
Yeah. Well, DL, we appreciate you joining us.
Always.
You can check him on the Daily Show.
Make sure to watch him on the Daily Show, man.
That's right.
And if you want it, I hope you get it. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? I want to do. I always want to do a talk show, but I want to do it the way I do it.
Yeah, you've done CNN. You did TV One. Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm killing it though, baby.
Yeah,
I'm killing
absolutely.
it.
Yes. It's DL Hughley. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.